Hey everyone, welcome back to another podcast with The Whole Truth. Today's podcast is just going to be a catch-up one. So I had a few of Juliana's lives sent to me while I was in the hospital, and I was planning on doing podcasts about them, but I just didn't get a chance to. So I thought we might as well do some catch-up ones now. Also, I just want to address the page changes. So TWT 3.0 was at risk of being taken down. We've had a couple of people on there reporting, mainly like Becca stuff, I think. It's probably Becca herself, because not generally most of the Insta mums aren't really that pressed about what's being said about them, but I can just imagine Becca and Crystal being like, oh, how do we get a fake account to get on there? Hate from the outside, girls. But anyway, someone suggested to me, it's better off that I switch over to the backup page now, and that way all those screenshots are still there for you guys to go through if you need to. I did want to do like a podcast and just like do a catch up on everything, like a highlight of the year, because I started that account, we began in March, so it's quite a few months that, it wouldn't be bad to do a podcast on, just so we can like catch up and remember what happened, because I was like scrolling back down the bottom to see where everything started, and I was like, oh, I forgot that happened. So anyways, what I've done is the TWT backup page is now called TWT 5.5, and then I made another backup page, which is called The Whole Truth backup page. I think that caused a little bit of confusion because I made the backup page really quickly and then swapped the names over, and then I had to then go and change my latest post to say to follow 5.5 and not the backup. But anyway, feel free to follow both of them, because the other one's obviously there for next time this happens. But I just thought it would be better to switch over, at least then you guys have those screenshots. Sorry, 5.0, not 5.5. I am sorry that this keeps happening, but there's nothing really I can do about it. So we just have to do what we can with the pages. I'm always going to be back. It doesn't really matter. Like, we can be reported a million times. It's never going to break my spirit or anything. I'll just make another page. Like, the majority of us have been around long enough to remember all these things, so it's not like I could make outlandish claims. Like, everybody was there for them. Anyway, so back over. These are old lives from about a month ago with Juliana. So I'm just going to start playing them. So there's a lot. It's actually funny, because when I went back through the page, there was one of the first posts, which was in March, was like her talking about how she'd taken Brett's phone off him and stuff. Like, oh my God, this nightmare's been going on forever. So I really hope that she'll stick with the guns and just stays broken up with him, or they need to sort something out, because it's just, this has gone on far too long. Like, get your shit together, get some counselling, or just don't be with each other. It's really easy. Anywho, let me just start off this first. I can't even remember what this live is about, to be honest. So we're sort of listening to it together for the first time. So let me just start this live for you.
What was the TikTok about? So, y'all, I'll tell you what. Purses. Oh, I think that's really old, unless they're still going.
Now, she's talking about a TikTok that was done about her and the knockoff handbags that she is selling to all of her followers. And I don't actually know if I did a TikTok on that. I did a TikTok on the farting. I did a TikTok on about how she claims to be a millionaire and things like that. But I don't recall doing one on the purse. But anyway, even if I did do one on the handbags, this follower is claiming that someone else has done a TikTok recently about her and selling knockoff handbags. So if you guys know who this is, or if you've seen it, please DM me, because I'd like to post it on the page.
I got this shirt from Luxe Chic. I'll post it on my story, because she just reposted my photos wearing it. Anyways, guys, I had a really good weekend. I decided to... Oh, so they're still going? They're so fucking weird. I decided to unplug, and I went to Orlando for the weekend, and I had so much fun. And I went because it was necessary for me to get away and have some alone time and get some good sleep and kind of just run away from my problems.
So, like, forgive me if I'm rude, but when she says things like, I just had to unplug and get away from my problems, I kind of feel like she's referring to her children as her problems. Because she seems to get a lot of vacation time in, you know what I mean? Like, and this isn't like a thing about money, whether you can afford it or not. Like, it doesn't matter if you can afford to go on holidays like 20 times a year. Do you really leave your children home that often with your partner? Like, I have never seen Brad go on a holiday. I've never seen Brad go on a holiday. I've actually never seen them go on like a family holiday. I think a couple of years back, after we were like talking about how shitty it was that she never takes the family anywhere, she took her kids to like, I think it was meant to be like Universal Studios or something, but she bought the wrong tickets. I don't know, but it didn't seem like it was like a cool overnight stay in a motel or anything. Like, she has spent $10,000 on getting herself a booty with her friends there, and she goes all these It Works conferences all the time, but yet she doesn't take her family as a family anywhere. Like, she'll take Cecilia because Cecilia takes all the pictures. She's never going to take Lena because that's just too much hassle, and like the younger kids, there's no way she's going to take them. But I just feel like, if you can afford to take like 6 trips each year without your children to go and like visit a friend and like unplug, what about Brett? Like, when does he get to unplug? Like, why wouldn't you want to go anywhere as a family? Like, that is like the best time of, we go on a holiday like for all the 2-week holidays that we have. So I don't know if you guys have the vacations in the middle, but like, how you have your summer holiday, we have like 2 weeks at the end of every term. So the kids do like 10 weeks of school and they get 2 weeks. And each time, like every time we have that 2 weeks, we always make sure to plan like a trip together. I can never imagine just leaving my family and going and like leaving my husband and my kids that often. I just can't understand. Like, I understand like if you went like once or twice a year, but to never take your kids or your husband on a holiday, I don't know, it just seems so selfish to me. And I just don't understand, like, what are you unplugging from? Like, you have Drew, who is like your little bitch at home. You used to have Brad, but you're mean to him. So, but I mean, he's still her little bitch. So I don't understand what exactly she's unplugging from. Like, you had 4 kids. You chose to have 4 kids. Why do you need to unplug all the time? Like, do you really not like them that much? I don't understand this.
It was so good. And I found out that I think it's called First Watch is the restaurant. We have one local. So I'm going to start going there all the time. I'm going to take the girls because it was so good. I got toasted during breakfast. It was more so like lunch, but I was on vacation. I know, and I really didn't even post that much because I was just more so like in the moment and enjoying having some time. But anyways, it never fails. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but like I went on this trip. I went on this trip to like recharge and refresh, and then I come home to so much bullshit. And I was telling my friends this morning, I'm like, I'm just wondering when life is going to give me a fucking break. So I just need y'all to pray for me, and I need you to pray for my brother because he is extremely sick. And I don't know what's going to happen to him, but I made the decision to kick him out today. He is saying very disturbing things.
So that's actually where that recording cuts off, but I'm sure it mentions more in the next couple of recordings. But, I mean, how many times have you got to kick your brother out? Like, is it because you're worried about your kid's safety, or is it because it's like a control issue? Like, if he doesn't do what you want him to do and he doesn't want to look after the kids and he doesn't want to be at beck and call, are you like, well, if that's the case, get out of my house? Is that how it works? Or is it because she's actually worried about her kid's safety? Because I don't understand, if you were worried about your kid's safety and he's saying all these disturbing things, would you let him back in the house without having him like assessed mentally, or, you know, some sort of clearance from his doctor that he is safe, or his psychiatrist that he is safe to be around your children? I just don't understand what would change in a matter of a few days of why, you know, your kids, you feel, you know, uneasy having him at your house, and then 5 days later he's back in your house and it's fine now. Like, I don't understand what changes so much within 5 days, especially if you've kicked him out repeatedly.
I don't really want to talk about Brett anymore on here because every single thing that I say is screen recorded and sent to him. talk about the things that I'm going through, and I can no longer do that. I have to watch what I say, watch what I post, watch how I post, because people on here choose to record everything and send it to him.
Now, I'm not sure if other people are sending it to Brett, but I'm definitely not. However, I do talk about it on this podcast, and, obviously I can't stop Brett from listening to it if he feels like listening to it. But in saying that, from a girl that's always like, I own everything I say, I'm not scared to say anything, don't speak untruths on your live or exaggerate things or say things that you don't want Brett to hear, Like she, on one hand, she's like this big tough person that's like, oh, I gave him a black eye. And on the other hand, she's like, oh, I'm so scared of him finding out the things I say about him. Like, which one is it? I don't understand. Like, I feel like they're both as toxic as each other at this point from what, when she wrote those text messages the other week, they were gross. And I'm actually surprised she hasn't shared more of those. Probably a good thing she hasn't, because, look how it makes Crystal look. It's not a good look on anyone to be sharing, messages between yourself and your ex-partner or your partner and things like that. It doesn't make either party look any better, if that makes sense. But, if you don't want someone to know something, don't say it on a public forum. Like, why are you saying it on a public platform? Like, I just don't understand how this works. Like, everyone else is a bad person because, they've said it and Brett's been able to hear it, but yet you're saying those things. So you should be held accountable for your own words, not anybody else.
So he has full access to all my social medias. But I'm just really worried about my brother. I just have this feeling that... Thank you. I have this feeling that he's not going to make it out this time. The brother I'm talking about is not the one who has a child. The one who has a child is doing really well for himself. He has a great job. He's a great dad. He's about to buy his first home. He's great. I'm talking about my brother that has lived with me for 5 years, who has been a drug addict since he was 13. Nope. I texted my mom, told her the things he was texting me and the things he was saying. And she said, well, he's not coming here. So, I don't know. He packed a bag and left. Yeah, he's just, he's always been a little off. I think that this last time, like before he went to jail and then he moved back in with me, I think that it caused significant brain damage because he's never been the same. But we kind of just like adjust our life to him being in it because I don't think that he can really survive without me. And that's just him.
Now, what she just said then was, like, huge for me because she's like, I don't think he could survive without me. And I feel like she needs to feel needed by him because, obviously, she doesn't have a man in her life that has to need her. You know what I mean? Like, Brad, she would control Brad. She would say, this is my house, this is my car, you can't have any money unless I say so, and he has to do this, that, and whatever. And now she's lost control of Brad because... Brett has realised he can live without all those things because he can go to his grandma's, he's got a job now, and he doesn't need Juliana to tell him how to live his life, And so she doesn't have a man relying on her, and I feel like she thinks that that's what she needs to feel important. So then her brother, I don't know why, it just, it seems like a bit of a sick thing, but like she wants her brother to be that man that needs her. I don't know. I could be wrong. Like, you could totally disagree with me, and that's fine. But it's just the way I see it because, you'll find out soon as well. Like, just then she talks about, like, her mother and how her mother's like, well, he's not coming here, And she always talks on her lives about how her parents don't care. Like, how could you put your child onto your other child and just not care? You're meant to be the parent. So it's like this big victim thing. Like, Juliana's a victim. She has to care for her brother. He's this big burden on her. But then we find out later that the mother actually did let Drew come into the house and stay with them. And she's furious. She is absolutely furious. And all of a sudden it's like she's an enabler. You know, why would she let him to the house? Like, I've been worried about him and he's been at the house the whole time. So it's like, you know, either way the parents can't win. You know, they've taken that burden off her and they've allowed him to come into their house. And now she's got a problem with it. When this whole time she's like, he's my burden and, you know, I'm stuck with him here and there's nothing I can do. And now she realizes that Drew doesn't actually need her as much as she thinks. Like, she thinks that he wouldn't survive without her. But at the end of the day, he's going to find a way to survive. I don't know. But I just feel like she needs men to think that she is like their savior and that she, you know, without her, they'd be absolutely hopeless. She's done the same thing with Brad. Like, you've got no money, you've got no car, you've got none of this, none of that. I'm the breadwinner. Without me, you'd have nothing. Like, I built everything. And then it's the same with Drew. Like, you wouldn't have a house, you wouldn't have this, you wouldn't have that. And so she uses that to control them. Like, you know, you can be in my house as long as you know, she said before with Drew, like, she'll get him to wash the dishes, he'll mop the floor. You know, he's there watching the kids while she's sitting out in the driveway on live, drinking a White Claw and vaping, you know, and obviously, if he wasn't there at the house to keep an ear out, she wouldn't be able to do that. She'd have to do that in her own house because, you know, you really can't be without, like, not within an ear's reach of these kids. So, you know, I feel like she uses this as, like, a manipulation tactic for them to think, well, you know, I'd be fucked without Juliana, so I better do the dishes, I better look after the kids and stuff like that. I don't know. Let me know if you think I'm right or if I'm wrong with this. How do you see it? I just feel like Brad and Drew, you know, it's like a control thing with them. And so she uses these things, keeps these things over their head. Because, like, I mean, who in a relationship where they're married with 4 kids still tries to control their husband with, like, money and stuff? You know, like, he's a player in this as well. They're a team. You know, she may be making the money, but he's caring for the children. He's doing the washing and the cleaning and stuff like that. So, you know, he's just as equally entitled to that money. Otherwise, why wouldn't he turn around and say, well, put the kids in daycare then? You know, I understand they're his kids, but they're also her kids. So if that's the case, why can't they both get a job, you know? And that was the thing for so many years. She talked about Brad and, like, he's lazy, won't get a job, just likes to mooch off me. And then Brad went and got a job, and what did she do? She lost her damn mind when he got a job. And that was actually the one that I was looking at on the page when she had the shits, because she was like, you know, Brad's got a job, and, like, she'd message and she was like, I've got to look after everything now, like, I've got to clean the house, I've got to do this. And he's like, don't worry about it, you're doing great, like, when I get home, I'll clean the kitchen, you know, I'm at work right now, but I'll clean the kitchen and I'll handle it all, like, don't worry. And she was like, how dare he, like, he's so rude, how dare he? And, like, he is at work, you know, he's at work. You told him to get a job, he went and got a job, and now you got the shits because he has his own money and you can't control him. So I feel like it's, like, the same vibe with Drew.
He's on probation, and he sees his probation officer on a regular basis. So as far as, like, actively using, I don't think so. But I left for the weekend and I come back and he's just completely off his fucking rocker. And I don't have, I can't set him up with doctors and stuff. Like, my parents just took him off their insurance earlier this year, even though I begged them not to. He doesn't think that anything's wrong with him. He won't willingly go anywhere. I had to completely play along with how he was talking today to even get him to leave. It was for his own protection, is what he thinks. He made very, very wild, disgusting accusations. He said a lot of disturbing things. He has been saying a lot of disturbing things to me that make me extremely uncomfortable. So it's no longer a situation where I can help him because my kids come first, and I don't feel comfortable with him living in my home. He's made threats. So, I tried. Yeah, I don't know if we have something like that here, and that's why I reached out to my mom, because I was like, I need to know what to do with him. Yeah, he's extremely paranoid right now. He is convinced that Brett has video cameras all over our house and that people are listening to him, so he needs help.
Now, she says before that they're disturbing allegations towards her, towards the kids, or whatever it was. And we can only sort of like assume what they were. Like, you know, I don't even want to try and guess what it was. But then she later says as well that she thinks that Brett has like cameras in the house and that people are listening to their conversations and stuff, which I don't know how that would involve Juliana and the kids in like a disturbing way. I mean, obviously it's disturbing, but you know, I'm not sure what he was saying to Juliana that had her so freaked out. But I mean, was it really that bad? Because he's back in her house now. So, I mean, if you're that concerned, if you're that disturbed, and you're like worried for your safety and your kid's safety, and then you let him back in your house like a week later, was it really that disturbing, or is this just like a good story for your Instagram followers?
No, my grandparents can't help. They're still up north and their health isn't doing well. So I don't tell them anything because I don't want to stress them out. My grandpa just had a heart attack that should have killed him. They don't know how he's still alive. And my grandma's on a new blood pressure medication because her blood pressure has been really bad. So I don't want to tell them anything that's going to stress them out. And that's why I'm stressed out, because I have to handle everything myself. Yeah. That or his mental illnesses, but it's just every time I leave, I come home to chaos. And it's like, I can't leave you for 2 days without you getting into some shit and making my life so hard. Like, the entire point of me going was to relax and get my mind right so that I can come home and be a mom and run my business. Yeah? What? I think she's at work, babe. But I'll call her when I'm done. I think she's at work, but I'll call her when I'm done.
First of all, fix the attitude. I think she's at work. I will call her when I'm done. So I need you to be quiet. Turn the TV down for me, please.
I don't have an attitude.
Okay, please turn the TV down.
Anyways, Marchman Act. Okay, people keep saying that, so I'm gonna look that up. Anyways, the whole reason I left town was because, like, I was already mentally, like, it feels like every single time I get to a place where I'm feeling good again, something happens, whether it's with Brad or my brother, that just completely knocks me off my feet. So I just left. Like, I wasn't going to ask for permission. I wasn't going to do anything. I just left. And I was feeling so good. And I get home to chaos. I get home to Brett started fighting with me.
I really struggle to understand her logic when it comes to this, because, I mean, when you leave your house and everything is, like, problematic, and that's why you're going, because you need a break from things, you know, when you come back, what do you expect it to be at home? Do you expect it to be all calm and fine, or do you expect it to be the same chaos as when you left it? Like, I'm not sure how she thinks her having a break is magically going to fix everything else at home and everyone else. You know what I mean? I understand the whole family went on a holiday, and it was just like that holiday they all needed just to get away and, like, unwind and stuff. But if you leave your house in chaos, when you come home, it's still going to be in chaos. You know what I mean? I could leave my house in the morning and go, well, fuck it, I'm not going to do the dishes today. I'm not going to fold my clothes. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. When I come home from wherever I've gone for the day, if I decide to go shopping instead, that shit's still going to be here when I get home. It's not just magically going to disappear. And that's the thing, is she has all these breaks because she's like, oh my God, I can't handle this. And she's never actually addressing her problems at home, whether that be, you know, struggling to look after all the kids, or, you know, her relationship with Brett, or the issues that are having with Drew. Because they're never actually being addressed, they're not going anywhere. They're always going to be there when she gets back.
Brett started fighting with me, and then my brother's acting crazy and talking crazy. And then I ask for help and I don't get it. So, but I'm going to look into that because I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like I just don't really see him making it out this time. And I'm not at a place where I can keep saving him, so.
I do sympathise with her with a lot of this, because it is her brother, and there's people can say to you, well, you're enabling them, which we know she does enable him, but at the same time, it's her brother. It'd be like one of your kids, It would be hard to see the difference between enabling and just trying to keep them safe. But at the same time, when you're making all these allegations about your brother and you're making all these claims and then you keep bringing him back into your house and nothing is changing, like, you really need to make those changes. Like, if you're committed to him enough that you're going to make sure that he does have a roof over his head and that he is looked after, if you're that committed, you should be committed enough to, like, look for treatment options for him or, find something. Like, I see it in her eyes. Like, when she bailed him out of jail, she was exhausted by it. And, she just got him out of jail and he's there going, oh, I didn't even do anything wrong. Like, I wasn't even drunk. Failed to mention the fact that he'd been on drugs. And, like, you can see in her eyes, she's just like, what? Oh, my God, what have I done? Like, she was just so frustrated, and obviously she didn't want to say anything because it wasn't worth the argument. But sometimes you just got to have that argument and you have to decide what's best. And I feel like, she just said it before in this whole live. She said, sometimes she has to go along with what he's saying just so that he does the right thing. And maybe that's not what he needs. Maybe she just needs to sit down with him and go, you have a problem. Okay, you keep denying that you have a problem, but you do have a problem. And if you want to stay here, this is what I require you to do. I require you to do counselling. I require you to do, like, an Alcohol Anonymous or a Drug Anonymous course, or, go to a treatment facility. Like, sign yourself in, you need to be here for a certain amount of time, because that's what he does need. He needs that tough love. And sometimes, like, you find yourself in those situations where you are in denial, and I feel like Drew is totally in denial for what's going on with his drug problems and stuff. And, I feel like Juliana, like, she knows he's having these issues, but with everything else going on with, like, Brett and the kids, she's just too tired to argue with him about it. And, like, that day when she got out of jail, like I said, you could see it in her eyes. She was just like, oh, my God. She was so defeated. She obviously didn't want her brother having issues while he was in jail. Like, I think she said at one point that people were, like, hassling him over food or commissary, or they stole his I don't know what it was. But, so she's obviously worried about him. She doesn't want to see him in one of those situations. But, that should have been addressed, like, the second that he got out of jail. I understand not wanting to have that argument on live in front of people, especially with her and how many followers she has. And, yep, it's all going to get sent to this page. So it's probably, like, an argument later on worth having. But I just feel like they need somebody else. Like, maybe they just need, like, a whole family, what do they call it? I can't even think now. But, an intervention. They need, like, a family intervention. Because even though his mum and dad say, well, we don't want him here, I feel like they still do care about him, and between all of them, maybe they could show him, if Juliana just went to him and said, you got a problem, you got a drug problem or whatever, he might not take that so well, and it's almost like divorced parents, he's bouncing from, like, his parents to Juliana's to his parents, and he's not really, they're never really resolving the issue. And I think out of everyone, Juliana's probably the most strongest will to sit there and say, you got a fucking problem, like, we need to fix this. I just feel like it probably needs to be addressed off social media, not so much, for all of her followers to sort of see, because all we see is this round and round pattern. It's just like the Brett and Juliana relationship. It's on, off, on, off, on, off. Drew's living there. He's not living there. He's crazy. He's not crazy. I love my brother. I hate him. It's very confusing. And if she doesn't just get her, like, all of her ducks in a row, she's never going to get this sorted, because she just leaves one problem after the next to keep occurring. Like, the bread thing is just like a revolving door. Drew's a revolving door. And so, and then, you got the whole thing of It Works over the top. I can't even imagine how stressful it'd be working for It Works. I cannot imagine. But anyways.
I don't know where I would go. Like, I just want so badly to, like, focus on my business. My team is doing incredible things right now, and I just can't even get to a place where, like, I can fake it. Because everything around me is just such chaos. I just feel like there's only so much a person can take, and I'm reaching that point. I did watch that movie. I have seen that movie. I'm just so tired of worrying about everybody else.
Part of me feels so sorry for her because she's going through this situation, and the other part of me is like, you know, if you spent half this time that you do talking about him on social media and what a problem he can be, if you just spend half that time, you know, trying to organise a doctor for him or some sort of rehabilitation program or anything like that, you might actually get somewhere, because, you know, it's madness just talking about the same problems over and over and just repeating that cycle when she could actually be doing something about it. But anyway, that's the end of this podcast. I have a couple more that I need to get through that are lives of Juliana's. And then I thought we might actually go back through some old ones, because there's a few that I haven't actually posted that I did have sent to me or I had saved on my phone. And I thought we might go through and do a discussion on those. In the meantime, I'll catch you guys on TWT 5.0. So just remember, 3.0 is now closed, and we are now going to be posting on the 5.0 page. And don't forget to follow The Whole Truth Backup.